What's going on with the Maple Leafs? Is this Mitch Marner's last game? What's going to happen with Tavares? Should the core four just be blown up? Like, what is going on in Toronto? Because with the talent like them, they shouldn't have only two second round appearances in the 8, 9, 10 years they've been together.
Yeah, so they've made the playoffs every year since they drafted Austin Matthews, and this is year 7 of the core four of John Tavares, Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, and William Nylander, and the most they have to show for it is a game 7 in the second round when they got killed. I think you said people aren't talking about the Panthers and how good they were, and more so talking about the Leafs. Well, the Panthers were up 2-0 in this series. They didn't lose game 3 in overtime for a chance to go up 3-0 in this series. They didn't get their ass kicked at home in game 5 and in game 7. I think that's why people are talking about the Leafs, because we know what this Florida team's capable of. They've been to the last 2 Cup finals. They're the defending Stanley Cup champions. They have nothing left to prove. There was a ton of pressure on the Maple Leafs in this series. Don't get me wrong, but I thought they looked like they were handling it after game 1 and game 2, and then they just completely imploded.
It was interesting watching the Maple Leafs in the series because, like you said, game 1 and game 2, they looked like the better team. Game 3, they looked like the better team for a lot of that, and then Marchand ends up scoring
They had
the
a
game-winning goal.
multi-goal lead late in the game, and they ended up blowing it.
Yeah, you had a prime opportunity to go into Florida, go up 3-0 in this series, and all you need is just to win 1 out of the next 4 games. And that's light work for a team like the Maple Leafs with how much talent they have. And I don't care about any of the jokes about, they would have blown the 3-0 lead. No, the fuck, they would not have blown that 3-0 lead.
I would have been shocked if they'd blown a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, and if the Panthers would have tied it 3-3, I bet you they would have won game 7. Okay.
I don't know about that. I think if the Leafs would have blown, like if they would have gone to game 7 after the Leafs being up 3-0, Leafs were going to get killed like they did last night.
And
the Leafs are a head case, man. They're their own worst enemy.
It is all mental. And I want to get into the Marner stuff a little bit because I've just been itching to talk about this. I am coming to the defense of Marner to an extent because, of course, he needs to produce. Games 5 to 7, I brought it up in last weekend's episode.
He was bad.
He's horrible, right? Games 1 to 4, it's like the regular season Mitch Marner, right? It's 2 different worlds. But everybody attacking Mitch Marner and nobody is okay. People are still attacking Matthews, but it's not to the extent of Mitch Marner. Everybody's like, Matthews is a goal scorer. You got to score, right? Everybody's attacking Marner. Nobody's attacking Nylander. Nobody's attacking John Tavares. And I don't care that John Tavares is a second line center. I don't care that he's kind of under the microscope of Toronto. Where the fuck was John Tavares in the second round, right? Where was
none of them really showed up. Nylander was okay. I'd say the best player for the Maple Leafs in the second round was probably Max Domi.
And Matthew Knies, too.
Yeah, and Knies was clearly playing injured in game 7.
Yeah, exactly. In game 6, too, after he got injured, he didn't look good. So it's just all of them combined. And with Marner being a pending UFA this year, I don't see a chance in hell that he comes back. And frankly, if I'm Marner, even if the Maple Leafs offer me an 8x14, I decline that shit. I'm like, mentally, I'm so fucked up in Toronto that I just want a fresh start somewhere else. Go to whether Chicago throws $14-15 million at you, whether Carolina offers you money, whether some other team offers you an 8x14 million team deal, just take that and just get a fresh start somewhere else where the media isn't pressuring you so much. And you could say the argument, these are professional athletes making millions of dollars, get over yourselves, whatever. But the throwing of jerseys after game 5 was absurd, throwing it on the ice. I respect the boos after game 7 getting killed because nobody wants to see their team on home ice that has had the track record of the Maple Leafs and have the talent get killed 6-1. And we've seen the Maple Leafs in the past lose in overtime in game 7 or blow a lead or lose by a goal. And you're like, you know what? The Maple Leafs were just right there. They had the game in their hands and the series in their hands, and they lost it. And you can argue they had the series in their hands against Florida as well. You're up 2-0. You go into overtime in game 3, but overall, I think it needs change.
Are the Leafs 0-7 now in the Matthews era in game 7 or 0-6? I know they're still winless.
I think they're 0-6. 6. I'll double check that for you real quick.
I know it's at least 0-6.
Yeah, it is.
I think last night might have made it 0-7 because I think Don Tavares signed with the team. I think they lost every series in Game 7. I think the only time they didn't lose in 7 was when their first year with Matthews when they lost in 6.
Yeah. So we have, okay, this is in chronological order. So yeah, so since John Tavares signed with the team, 2018, right? The offseason of
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So yeah, they're 0-6. Sorry, 0-7.
0-6,
Sorry,
0-7 in
0-7.
Game
Yeah, yeah.
7. So, I mean, I can't. I mean, I agree with you. I think that throwing the jerseys on the ice is stupid. I get the booze. I
Mm-hmm.
get being frustrated. I mean, what would you rather? Would you rather have make your team make the playoffs every year and just lose in heartbreaking fashion every year, or just not even be a playoff team?
Well, we
Just
have that with
honestly,
the Bills and the Sabres, so it sucks.
I mean,
Like,
honestly, I'd rather lose in the playoffs every
yeah.
year
Oh,
because at least you
yeah.
have something to believe in. But I agree with you when it comes to Mitch Marner. I think it's best for both the team and the player just to move on. No, don't get
Mm-hmm.
me wrong. Marner's a great player, and he does walk. The Leafs are going to miss him dearly. I think Toronto, the fans might be kind of underappreciating how great of a player he is. I know he had playoff struggles, but he's consistently one of your best players his whole time in Toronto. Like you cannot deny that. He's a 90+ point a season guy. He's an elite player in this league. You can't just replace a guy like that. I'm assuming they're going to give Manny Nyes a long-term extension instead of Mitch Marner getting that extension. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll figure something out. I don't see it happening. I think that the more likely scenario is they find a way to keep John Tavares around for another 3 or 4 years. He has to take much less money than he's getting right now. There's no way he's going to get 11 million a year again. I
No.
could see it reasonable being around 6 or 7 for him.
Give him 2 years by $6 million, I think is a perfect deal. It's a fair deal. IMO.
Yeah, I think that's a fair deal for the team and player because I've read reports that John Tavares does not want to leave Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, why would you let a player like that walk? He's a great second line center still in this league.
And he's also a leader in the
I know
room.
he's getting older, but he almost had 40 goals this season. He had a tremendous season. He's great on that second line, and have Matthews be that first line center. But it is more than just Mitch Marner.
Mm-hmm.
He's easy to be the scapegoat, especially because he's the one guy as a pending UFA. He wants the big money contract and everything, and he's earned the contract. Don't even get me wrong. Like he's worth what he's asking for, in my opinion. It's just, I think he just needs to get out of Toronto. I think it would just be good for him to go. So I don't know if it's necessarily a media thing where like he can't handle the pressure. I think it's just I think we've all been there before. We're just in a really shitty situation. It's just your headspace, man. Like the same, you keep fucking up. The same thing keep happening over and over again. And like if you're at a job you really hate, and you feel trapped there, and you finally get a chance to move on, and then you get a new job. And even if the job's not amazing, you just feel better to be out of there. I feel that's the kind of situation I feel like is with Mitch Marner.
I look at it like that, but I also look at it from the perspective of you're fucking up, but it's not helping you when every time you fuck up, it gets put under a microscope by the
Oh no,
fans,
that
by the
doesn't help
media,
either. Yeah.
and then on top, now you're putting pressure on yourself, and now you're overthinking things on the ice. And I think it's a combination of quite literally everything, right? And the fans, they don't treat these players good. I personally, I hope there's Leafs fans listening to this or watching it right now. You guys are the worst fans in most of pro sports. You're
I
down
don't
there.
know. Rangers fans are pretty annoying too.
No, we're not talking about ignoring, but treating the players like utter garbage. And of course, they're going to treat you when you're winning and everything. And there's such a high expectation. But hearing the players, the Florida Panthers, talk about how these players like they get so much slack for it, and that they get put so much media and so much pressure gets put on these players that they almost feel bad. And this could be a tactic. I heard this from the Whatcast podcast. There's two things that are happening with this. They're like, hey, one, Sam Bennett's gone. We're not going to sign Ekblad. Marner, come over to Florida. Or number two. That wasn't proposed on
No.
me. That wasn't proposed by me. That's
I don't see that happening. I
and
don't see
then
that happening.
and then that would be crazy though.
That would
Number
be crazy.
number two, it's like, what if these guys are saying this to the media to be like, you know what? You guys are great with the core four. Keep the core four together. because then, like Matthew Tkachuk said on Spit and Chicklets this morning, they use the pressure against the Maple Leafs. They know how unbelievable they are, but they let the pressure get to the Maple Leafs and let them mentally beat themselves. And Matthew Tkachuk said that if they were anywhere besides Toronto, they'd be an unbelievable team and would have maybe an Eastern Conference Finals appearance at this point. Obviously, it's what ifs, but I'm just taking the words from him. And overall, it's just a shitty situation. And I do think that the Leafs need to pull kind of what the Oilers do, and they should build around a Matthews, a Nylander, and a Nyes. And then also you have a Morgan Riley. And then just build depth around there. And now you have the extra money to go out and spend a little bit more depth and help surround the guys.
Yeah, it's just a really tough situation because Mitch Marner is an amazing player, and I don't disagree with what Matthew Tkachuk said, and you could definitely see it in the game last night where Florida didn't the moment didn't own them. That looked like just another game for them. They were controlling the pace of play. They didn't look stressed out at all, and the Leafs were fighting themselves. Like they were fighting the puck. They looked skittish. They weren't making the smart plays. They were just playing. They were in their own heads. You can clearly see it on the ice. You can see it on the scoreboard as well, where they just were not prepared to play. I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think it's just the mental makeup of the team. Especially with those core four that have been there for so long and they've gone through so many situations like this where they have all this pressure on them and they've never been able to come through. I just don't think they can mentally handle it.
Yeah, and I definitely think that Berube was the right coach and the right hire at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And he mentally he tried his everything to get these guys into the mental shape for this game 7 especially. And we saw Marner after the team. I think it was after the team went down 3-0 or something. There was a video zoomed in on his face of him screaming at the guys, telling him to wake the fuck up. And I think that's a little bit too late or whatever. What is that saying? I don't even know what the saying, but
Too
either
little, too
way,
late.
yeah, too little, too late. Like we saw the clip last year where he was basically crying on the bench or whatever, and now this year he wants to step up and yell at the guys. And of course, with him being a UFA, he clearly loves it in Toronto. Well, he loves playing
Well,
for the team.
he's from Toronto.
Yeah,
Like, he's living his dream. He's playing for his hometown team, and he's a star player.
and you can tell in the press conference last night that he was kind of like in his feelings a little bit. He's like, obviously his future's uncertain. He
Mm-hmm.
wants to still play for Toronto, but mentally, like he's not there half the time, and you can really tell it's screwing him up. And he needs to get out and just go be a 100-point guy for somebody else. And overall, with
We'll
nice.
see. He's gonna have a hell of a market. I think he's gonna be the highest paid player to hit free agency in NHL history.
Thank you for watching the entire video. If you guys would like more exclusive content, make sure to follow us over on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Also, check out our new episodes, which drop every single Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Available to stream on all platforms.